Good morning, Mom.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Yes. All right. So
Ma'am.
let's start. Right. Good morning. Okay.
Ma'am.
So let's go to the development of bonding theory. Okay. So we have Lewis structure. So when I ask you the Lewis structure, so you are to give the dots. So electron dots represents the electrons. Okay. So first is you are going to count the valence electrons of an atom, and then so if it has four valence electrons, then it has it can bonds to four. Yes, it can make four bonds because it has four valence electrons. Again, class atoms need to bond to each others because if they are pag sila ra isa, they are not stable. So in the periodic table, we have stable atoms like the katunana sa number 8 or the halogens. Okay, wait, the halogens. All right. So the helium, the neon, the argon, the krypton, xenon, and the Rn. Okay, I forgot. So they are very stable now, so they don't need to bond to another atoms. But because other atoms like the carbon, like nitrogen, oxygen, so they are not, okay, they do not, wala pa sila na occupy ang octet rule. They were not able to satisfy the octet rule. So,
Ilagi
dapat,
ko kadungog ay. Yun eh.
no ba, kadungog mo?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
pero yun lang.
Okay ra, ma'am. Makadangog ra.
Okay, alright, sige, kusugon na lang na ako. So again, so they need to bond for them to become stable. Okay. So if they are unstable, gusto pa kayo sila maglihok-lihok, they have higher energy. So they have to bond. Okay, they are going to satisfy the octet rule that they are going to have eight electrons on the valence. They are going to have eight valence electrons or eight electrons on the outer shell. So, mo kinahalan. So we have the carbon. The carbon has only four valence electrons. So it means it can bond to four. Okay, it can still make four bonds for it to become eight. Okay, class. So what is the valence electron of oxygen? Yes, Mantos.
Yeah, ma'am.
So kita mo na class again. So in a periodic table, they are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so those numbers, they are also the valence electrons or the outer electrons. So we have, so how many valence electrons does oxygen has?
4, ma'am.
Really? Okay.
Six. Six.
Six.
6.
Okay, so it
6,
has
ma'am.
6.
6, ma'am.
Now, class. So how many bonds can it occupy for it to become stable?
2, ma'am.
2.
2.
2.
Very good. Okay. It needs 2 electrons for it to achieve the octet
2,
rule.
ma'am.
Okay, so 2, 8 minus 6 to 2. What about carbon?
4.
4. Okay, so it means carbon, for it to become stable, it needs to bond to 4. Okay, 4 atoms. So it can bond to 4 other atoms. What makes carbon special? Because it can, all aside that it can bond 4 bond, it can make 4 bonds to any other atoms. It can bind 4 times also to itself. So it can bind to carbon, okay, carbon to carbon, and then we can make a long chain. So that it makes the carbon special. So in organic chemistry, we are be dealing more about the carbons. Okay. Now let's go to development of chemical bonding theory. Atoms for bonds because the resulting compound is more stable than the separate atoms. Okay. So, meron siya tao, the tao kay kinalan, ngita siya gan diversion, ngita siya buhaton for him to become stable. Okay. If not, di siya makita fulfillment. Okay. Just like the atoms, they need to bond because they are designed for that way. They need to bond. And also, ionic bonds in salts formed by electron transfer. So we have 2 types of bonding. Okay, we have ionic bonding and we have covalent bonding. Ionic bonds, okay, the bonds in the salts was formed by electron transfer. So the electron transfers to other electron for them to form a bond. But in an organic compounds, okay, when you say organic compounds, most of the bonding there are covalent. Covalent is sharing. Okay, so you know this already. In high school we have sharing of electrons. Okay, so they share. Then we have the Lewis structure. Okay, Lewis structure or the electron dot. So when I ask you to what's the write the electron dot or the Lewis structure of methane. So you are going to use the dots as the electrons. No bonds. Okay, don't use bonds. All right. Or the line, the bonds. Okay. So here it can be shown here that they are shared. The electrons are shared. So here the NH3, then H2O. Okay, and then we also have we also have the second type or the second theory of bonding. We have the Pauli structure. So here we are going to use the line bond structures. Okay. Okay, so again, when they are stable, when we have stable molecules, they follows the octet rule or the octet 8 dots. Okay, and for main group and atoms 2 for hydrogen. Okay, now class for carbon here. How many electrons does carbon have? And say each 4. Or how many electrons? The dot one.
4.
Oh, Yes, how many electrons? The dots. You just count the dots.
2, 4, 6, 8.
For that,
Okay. Eight.
4.
8. All right, 8. So, which means the carbon there is already stable now because it occupies the, or it follows the octet rule. All right. Hmm. What about the nitrogen? How many electrons?
8.
8.
8, ma'am.
Yes, 8. Okay, so it means that the nitrogen there is stable already. Right. So that is when you see that when you use the electron dot. But if you see, if you use the Kikoli's theory or Kikoli's structure, so it uses bonds. Remember that a bond, when the bond or the line, it has how many?
2 electrons.
Perfect. Two
Electrons?
electrons, one from the
8,
other
mom.
side. Okay, one from the other side. If only one line, so one electron, one electron. Okay, so two electrons per bond. Okay, and then if you go here to methane, the carbon. Okay, how many bonds in carbon? How
8.
many line bonds?
4, ma'am. 4, ma'am.
Four.
4,
Okay,
4
so how
mom.
bonds.
many electrons?
4.
8 electrons.
8, ma'am. 8,
Okay,
ma'am.
yes. Okay, remember one line or one bond is consists of two electrons.
4
So again,
electrons.
class, this is covalent bonding. Covalent bonding is when you bond the non-metal to non-metal. Okay, methane, CH4. Then we have NH3.
8,
So methane, nitrogen, non-metal, and then we have hydrogen, which is also non-metal. So they are covalent
4.
bonding. Yes, covalent bonding ni siya class. Covalent, so meaning the electrons are just shared. Unlike sa ionic that the electrons there are transferred. Okay, transferred to the one who has higher energy to the one who is stronger. So it pulls the murag iyang kuhaon tong and electron sa pikas for him to become stable. So iyang gikuhaan. But here that is for ionic, but for covalent they are going to just share. Okay. Now, right? So here in organic chemistry, we will be dealing more about covalent bonding. Wait, all right. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, all right. So how many valence electrons does the boron has?
3.
3. All
3.
right, very good.
3.
3.
3, ma'am.
Now, all right. So atoms with four or more valence electrons forms as many bonds as electrons needed to fill the S and P levels of their valence shells to reach a stable octet. Okay, again, the S and P are the orbitals. Okay, we have S orbital and we have P orbitals. Now, how many electrons does P orbital can occupy?
4, ma'am.
1, 6.
3.
Ma'am, 4, ma'am.
S,
4.
we have two. We have two for the S, and for the P, we have how many orbital? How many electrons for P?
6
6.
electrons.
Perfect, six. Okay, six. So S is for two and P is six because again the P has how many suborbitals? We have px, we have y, and we have z. So that's why. So x, y, and z they occupy two electrons for x, two electrons for y. Z is two. So we have six electrons. Okay. Okay. So carbons has four valence electrons forming four bonds. Okay. So how many for nitrogen? How many electrons it has?
5.
5.
5.
Five.
Okay, we have 5. So how many bonds can it do? Or can it allocate? How many bonds?
3, ma'am.
3. Yes, 5 plus 3 for it to become 8.
3.
So let's go back. Now, class, what about the hydrogen? How many bonds can it make?
1.
7, ma'am. 7, ma'am.
All right,
Ay.
okay. So, diba, ano to, for it to become stable, it must follow octet rule. So, dapat it can occupy 8. So, but that's why 7 is your answer. Okay, so again, class, hydrogen has only 1 electron. Okay, bisan pa kuan, so 1 electron na jud na siya, it means 1 electron on the valence on the outer shell, and for the whole shell, it is only 1 electron. So it means it can only bond once. Okay, it can only bond once. What about beryllium? How many bonds can it do for it to follow octet rule?
1.
6.
Beryllium.
6.
Okay.
6, ma'am.
Right. So, inyo na itong minus, no? No, but it's just 2. Okay. So, the hydrogen, beryllium, and the boron. So, hydrogen can only form 1 bond. Beryllium can only form 2. Okay. So, okay, class, when I say hydrogen can only form 1 bond, then also the other atoms na below sa hydrogen can only does 1, okay? 1 bond because
Yes. Yes,
they are
ma'am.
arranged, okay? The atoms in the periodic table are arranged according to their properties. So mostly they in one column they have the same properties. Okay, hydrogen 1, beryllium and katong nasa ubos 2, the boron has 3, but okay, but for for carbon we have 4, and for nitrogen how many bonds can it form?
1. 3.
Ah, 3. Okay, so just remember that one class. Okay. And then for oxygen, how many bonds?
Oxygen.
2.
2. Okay,
2.
2 for it to become stable. Okay, what about fluorine?
1.
1.
1.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. All right. Okay. So, okay. So the valence electron is I2s2 to P4. Okay. Okay, now let's go to the develop. Okay, that's it. So, kabalo naman money. All right. So, hydrogen can form 1 bond. How many? What about the oxygen?
1.
How many bonds
Ma'am.
can it form?
6. 4.
Oh, yes, 6 oxygen.
4, ma'am.
Oxygen has 6 valence electrons. 6 na ang nasa iyang sa 6 na kabok ang iyang nasa iyang outer
Dot.
shell. So for it to
Tura,
become
ma'am.
8, okay.
Tura,
2, ma'am.
One.
So, all right, what about chlorine?
1.
1. All right. Okay, so these atoms need to bond for them to become stable. Okay, so now this time we have non-bonding electrons. Okay, so example, we have NH3 class. So nitrogen has 5 valence electrons, so it can bond 3. Okay, and what do we call these 2 electrons that are not bonding, or that are not
Lone
bonding?
pair. Electrons.
Lone pair
Okay,
electrons.
that's all right.
No, lone pair.
Okay. All right, lone pair. So usually they when you use the some put the dots or the electrons um, by putting dots, but others they don't put dots. Okay. So murag ila lang gipakita og ay diri nga naa siya sobrang nga duha ka electrons. Yeah, in the here in each tree kay nasa bracket wala na nila gipakita. So but in when we look at
Yeah,
it,
ma'am.
yes, we have to bear in mind that it has 2 lone pairs. It has one lone pair kay pair man. So 2 electrons. Okay. And then describing chemical bonds or valence bond theory. So we have covalent bonds. All right. So again, in covalent bond, what happened to the electrons? They just they overlaps.
Overlaps.
Okay, they overlaps or they shares. Okay. So again, so we have hydrogen. Okay, we have hydrogen. Um, yes, we talk about um, so each one. Okay, we talk about each one prosium, and we talk about H2 deuterium. Yes, have we talked about that here? Okay, so all right, never mind. Okay, so all right, so one electron. So because hydrogen has one electron, okay, so it has one arrow up. And if you are going to put it in an orbital, so of course we have to follow the rule. Okay, what rule is this? When they have opposite spin, it's
Single-headed arrow.
okay. Yes, no, what rule? Di ba, when we are going to represent the electrons in in an orbital, if we are going to put them, we are to follow three rules. Okay. Okay, the first rule is I oh, ano siya nakasulat diri, but in the other, okay, we have AFBAW. Okay, AFBAW principle. And then we have Pauli's exclusion, and we have Hans' rule. Okay, so the rule that for electrons, okay, electrons in an orbital, they should have had opposite spin. One arrow is facing up, and one arrow is facing down. That is by Pauli's exclusion principle. Remember that rules, guys. Okay, so yes, what happened to the electrons? Okay, each two molecules, so nag-overlap ra sila. They share. Okay, wait, nine sulod. Okay, alright. Okay, so we have the valence bond theory. So, two models of describing covalent bonding. We have valence bond theory and the molecular orbital theory. Okay, for valence bond, here, as we can see, okay, they are cylindrically symmetrical. So they are symmetrical. Okay, electrons are paired in the overlapping orbitals and are attracted to nuclei of both atoms. So if we have single bond, we call that we have sigma bond. Sigma bond. Okay, represented or written as O and then nasa head sa babaw. Sigma. And then for the bond energy, okay. So, well, we have example if we have two each, okay, then it forms H2. So the product, okay, so this is dili na to makita ang energy needed. Okay, so if we are going to to form a bond, so energy must be released, and we are going to break a bond, so energy must be absorbed. Wait, I can't. Okay, here. Okay, so first we have H2 molecule. So as we can see, all right. So here Tanaw sa obus, we have H2 molecules. It has 2 electrons. Okay. Share located in just one orbital. Now what happens here? So given sa manya, it give break yung bond, so forming 2 hydrogen atoms. Okay. So when breaking, we can see that the energy increases. Okay, so because it absorbs energy. Okay, just remember when we are going to break a bond, it absorbs energy, and then when we form a bond, it releases energy. And then we have the distance between nuclei that leads to maximum stability. Okay, if too close, all right. Okay, we have HH. So if too close, they will repel because H has H is positive, and we have another same or ilahang same ilang signs. We have positive and positive, so they will repel. So if they are too close, because both are positively charged, so H is positively charged, and we have H which is also positively charged. So what would happen if they are very close? So they would repel. So that's why, okay, they should maintain a bond length. Okay, how long would that bond be? So dito na siya magkuana. But the bond length is very important also. Okay, if the bond length is because kung magdugol sila, there would be a possibility nga kung mag-repel siya. Okay, if they are the same charge. Okay, so so bond length, all right. So here in each, so the bond length is 74 pm. Okay, picometers, all right. So again, the bond length is very important. Kung mubu ang bond, okay, if mubu ang C, right, so we have hydrogen, H, and then we have Cl. So what would happen? The bond would be kanang smaller because ano man sila, kusgan man ang Cl. So iya yung i-pull og ayo ang H. So ionic bonding again. For ionic bonding, we have shorter bond length, and for covalent bonding, we have longer.
Kami adlin ng trabaho ko.
So the bond length is very important. Okay. And then we have Ecolis and copper independently observed that carbon always have 4 bonds. Okay. Van Hoff, okay. So here, and for for Van Hoff and Libel, so the carbon is bonds coming from out of plane, so it is tetrahedral. Okay, so if we have methane, CH4, okay, so the bond is mag-ana siya down, and then na dito bond sa luyo, bond sa front, bond sa luyo, and bond on the other side. So di lang siya simple. This is 3D. Di lang siya simple nga CH4 1 2 3 4 ano. So but CH4 is a 3D. That is according to Van Hoff and Liebel. So it's tetrahedral. Well, so when we have our discussion in Messenger, some of your classmates were writing it in 3D. So it's not wrong. It's more correct than just a plane, than just a 2D one. Okay, because carbon CH4 is tetrahedral carbon atom. Okay, so carbon has 4 valence. Okay, we know that. And CH4, all C bonds are identical. Okay, so now let's go to sp3 orbitals and the structure of methane. Okay, so sp3. Okay, so when we say hybrid, okay, when we say something, petan, siya? Imong dog is a hybrid of Pinoy o kaning kuan, kaning unsa, kaning Shih Tzu. So They are a combination of two genes. So just like here, hybrid orbitals, it is a combination of s and the p orbital. Okay, so we have s orbital and 3p. Okay, one s. Okay, only one s. So na-exponent na sa babaw, but because it's one, we don't take note of it anymore. We just given na siya nga 1 yun na siya. And then we have 3. It means 3 piece orbital. Okay, orbital. Okay, we have again, so s orbital is just Murashig circle. Okay, and then for for p orbitals we have 3. So we have the x, the y, and the z. So sp3. Okay, so ch4. Okay, so ch4, in a ch4 the carbon is sp3 hybrid. Okay, so if we are going to see of tetrahedral, ano na siya? sp3 na siya. sp3 hybrid. Okay, sp3, sp3 orbitals on C. Klaro na akong tingo, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, ang bandili.
Dili kaayo, ma'am.
Okay,
Ma'am,
sige
hinay
lang.
signal.
I-record
Ay,
lang.
hinay ay signal, ma'am.
Hintay tayo, ma'am.
Alright, it's okay. So let's just go on kay. Lisod po kay guys. Di na tawag klase. Magkwanta, may exam. Okay. And then, alright, sp3 orbitals can overlap with one s orbital and 4 atoms to form 4. Okay, so again, CH4 is an sp3 orbital. Okay. And it has a bond strength. Okay. So again, all right, the bond length. Okay, example here for CH4, the bond length is 109 pm. And for the bond angle, okay, angle. Right, it is 109.5. Okay. For tetrahedral angle, it's 109.5. Right. So later on, we will know more about the importance of the bond angle and the bond length. Okay. So if the bond length again, so if the bond length is too small, okay, if mubo kaayo, then the atoms can't bond to each other properly because they are example in covalent bond they are positive, so it would repel. But if sobraan pod kayo kalayo, then they will have a weaker weaker ilang bonding. There's a tendency na if there's another atom that wants to intervene, then it will break easily. So bond length is very important. Okay. And then we have also bond angle. Okay, so yes, this one is an sp3. Okay, makita ninyo how many sp3 bonds?
6.
6.
6.
Okay, count
6,
again.
6.
Tura, ma'am.
6, ma'am.
Alright, okay. So because it has 6, so it has also 6 sp3. Okay, 6 carbon, 6 sp3. Okay, so some representations of ethylene are given. So example to explain, let's. All right. So again, for sp3, it is only for one bond. Okay. Single bond lang siya, single bond. Now, if it's double bond, then we can call it is sp3 anymore. So here in hexane, we have 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have 6 sp3 because it has 6 carbons. Right. 6 sp3. Now, Okay, so if it has double bonds, then it's sp2. Okay, sp2 or the sp2. Okay, all right. So sp2 hybrid orbitals or 2s orbitals combines with 2p. Okay, only two. Okay, 1s and 2p, giving three orbitals. 1s and 2p equals sp2. So this results in a double bond. Okay, if we have sp2, double bond. If we have sp3, then single bond. sp2 orbitals are in a plane with how many bond angles? If we have sp2, how many bond angles?
120.
Okay, 120 degrees. If we have sp3, okay. What's the measurement of the bond angle?
109.5.
Okay, so that's it.
109, ma'am.
109.5, it's for single bond or for sp3. 109.5 degrees. Okay. All right. So remaining p orbitals is perpendicular to the plane. Okay. So take note of the bond angles, and two sp2 hybridized orbitals overlap to form a pi bond, and p orbitals overlap side to side to form a pi bond. Okay. If we have sp2, we have we have the sigma bond, and we also have the pi bond. Okay. sp2 sigma bond, and 2p is for pi bond, resulting in sharing of 4 electrons and formation of C double bond. Okay. So class, for now, just take note na lang ta sa sp2 and then sp3, the bond angle, the bond length, because we will not go more deeper on this because it's organic chem pa. It's basic pa man po din yun eh. Right? And then we have electrons in the bond angles are centered between nuclei, and electrons in the uh, pi bond occupy regions are on either side of a line between a nuclei. Okay, so here on the right side, okay, on the right side, we can see that the pi bond, or the sigma bond, okay, the sigma bond is at the center. Okay, sigma bond at the center of the nucleus, or at the nuclei, center at the nuclei. And then we have the pi bond, which is ano siya, which is on the region. Okay, in the region on either side, we have down and up. We can also have pi bond here in the blue one, pi bond. Alright, and then H atoms form sigma bonds with 4 sp2 orbitals. Okay, and then it has 120 degrees, and double bond in shorter and stronger. Okay, again, class. So what would happen if we have a double bond? For sure, so duha na kabukin yung PC nagtay sa inyo, then it means that it is stronger. Okay, so the bond, okay, so in your relationship, the relationship between the two atoms would be stronger than those who has only one single bond. Okay, ethylene. Ethylene has shorter, okay, and when it has two double bonds, so much stronger since it has stronger bonds, so they tend to pull each others. So ang ihang length na noon is shorter than the single bond, and of course stronger because it's double bond. Compared to single bond na it has lesser, okay, weaker energy than the double bond, and then longer iyahang bond length. Now, what would happen if it is triple bond, guys?
Stronger, ma'am.
Okay, mas pinaka-stronger. Okay, so 3 because of 3 bonds. Alright. Okay, now here, class, if we are going to say, okay, ethylene, that's for if we have double bond. C, the double bond C. The bond length is just 134. It is 134. So bond length. But for for single bond C, okay, for C, we only have how much?
154.
Okay,
150.
154. Yes, it is reasonable because again,
154.
it is reasonable because again, if it is single bond, then the ihang pooling is just dili kusog, dili straw. So yung pooling sa electrons, mag-pull sila is dili kusog. So that's why enough lang iyahang 154 lang siya. But if we have double bond, so yung pooling to each other is stronger. So magamay ang ilahang bond length or magamay ang distance between each others. Okay. All right, now we have SP. Okay, again, class. So this is SP. So how? All right. Okay, if we have, three bonds. Okay, if we have six electrons sharing, so it can form three bonds. And if it is three bonds, we call the orbitals or the hybrid orbitals is sp2, sp3, sp.
SP.
Yes, okay. It's for sp. Two, if we have three bonds, okay. If we have three bonds, it is sp. Okay. All right. Okay. So now take a look here. Oh, the distance or the bond length of the CC, okay, C triple bond C. How much is that?
150 yan, ma'am.
106.
Okay, that is for C each. Okay, that is the
120.
all right.
180.
180.
120, 20 p.m.
120. Okay, 120 p.m. You see, guys, 180 here is the bond
Yes,
angle.
ma'am.
Okay, bond angle. For every line, okay, basta naka one line, okay, that's 180 degrees. Okay, naka line. And then if we have perpendicular line, that is 90 degrees. So here, 180 is not the bond length, but it is the angle, bond angle. So the bond
Yes,
length is
ma'am.
120 pm. So is that reasonable? Sorry. Okay. Is that reasonable na 120 pm for triple bond? Yes, it is because ano man siya, di ba? Because it has three bonds, so it is more, okay, it is stronger than the double bond. It is stronger than the double bond, then the bond length with amugama siya would be shorter. So that's why in double bond C, the bond length is 134. And for C, single bond C is 154. But if we are going to have triple bond, so the bond length would be mas gamay, shorter. It's 120. Okay, now let's go to the ano. Let's go to the bond angle. Okay. So what? Okay, the bond angle. So ang angle mahitabo if ano siya? If we have single bond, okay, if we have single bond, CH, we have 109 degrees. Okay, so it is the angle is more kining more distance na lang pud niya. Okay, the angle. So kung 109, yeah, okay. Now let's go if it's ano siya. Okay, so if we have ano for double bond, so the bond angle would be ano siya mulapad because kung magkadu ay if we have double bond, so the electrons nga naa dito is mas i-pull siya og ayo, thereby ang katong isa mo layo siya ay mo more mo bika mas mobikang kang siya because gipull siya og ayo of the double bond. So we have 120 degrees. Now, if we have triple bond, okay, triple bond, mas gipull nun siya ayo. So mas ni, ano na siya, nas nagbikangkang siya ayo. So that's it. Nahimo siya 180 degrees. Okay, so the bonds here pulls, okay, pulls. So that's why mo ano siya, mo binat. And then if it's triple bond, so mas mabinat siya ayo, then it has 180 degrees, and for double bond it has 120 degrees. Kay ano man siya, lesser mas weaker man siya kaysa weaker ang pulling because of the double bond where kaysa sa triple bond na stronger ang pulling, so that's why 180. So for double bond is 120. For single bond that is 109. Okay. Degrees. Alright. So again, so SP is for RBA. Okay, SP is for
Three bond.
okay, triple bonds. And for SP2 we have how many bonds?
Double bond.
Okay, and for single bonds we have
SP3.
SP3. Okay. Alright. Okay, now let's go, class. All right, let's go to the drawing structures. Okay, so drawing every bond in organic molecules can become tedious, but for you guys, it would be easier. Several shorthand methods have been developed to write structures. We have condensed structures, don't have CH, okay, CH bond or CC bond. Okay, so take a look here. On the, okay, so on the right side, di ba naman siya equals? On the left side, okay, daghan kay siya bond lengths. Daghan kay bond lengths di mo makita, no? Bond. Daghan kay kag bonds makita. Okay. Are you with me? Okay. Daghan kay kag bonds makita in the left side. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all right. So, but class, on the left side, the molecule on the left side is just equal to the molecules on the right side. Okay, yun sa mana nila. Okay, so wala here, when we say condensed, okay, so mas gipamubo, gipagamay, but still it has the same chemical compound to the not condensed one. Okay, here in the left side, gipakita lang niya ang for this is for beginners. Gipakita lang niya na there is a bond that is connecting to each atoms. Okay, so here in the carbon, okay, how many carbons?
Five, ma'am.
Yes, five carbon. Okay. Later on the next chapter, we're going to name this one. But just now, we are going to, tanawin lang nato how are they explained from daghan og bonds, then we come to wala na siya bonds. Okay. And right, so we have 5 carbons. And each carbon, each carbons has 4 bondings. You see that? Can you count? Okay, do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait a minute, ha? Wait a minute. Choose. Dung, may nagtawag, oh. Dung. Ay, wait sa sir. Oo. Sorry sa guys. Oh, tanaw. Oh, sa quarry daw.
Bye, ma'am.
Hello everyone.
Pwede na ito magklase, guys. Ako'y teacher.
Gawas mga tabian.
Wait mo guys, kay nag-record si ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry about the interruption. Okay, so let's get back. All right. Wait. Okay. Well, thank you. All right. Now we have so condensed structure. So can you count how many bonds the carbon was able to do? Was able to occupy.
4, ma'am.
Yes, 4. We have 3. Okay, so ilan na siyang so we have, so if we are going to write this one in condensed structure, then we're going to write how many carbons. So first carbon, and then we put the H. How many H? How many hydrogen? We have 3. Okay, from ano ta guys, from left to right. Left to right, ha? Okay, carbon. Okay, first carbon, you write the first carbon. Then how many H? We have 1, 2, 3. Okay, tapad na lang nato siya, H3. Okay, are you with me? Then, okay. Then we have the second carbon. How many hydrogens?
2.
Okay, so that's why we write 2. Okay, that's why we write 2. Very good. Now, on the third carbon. Now, the third carbon, guys. Okay, on the third carbon, we write how many hydrogen?
1.
Only 1, yes. So that's why we write 1. And then what happened to the other bonding? Kung sa iyang gibond diri sa third carbon. CH3.
3.
Alright? Yes. Okay, so yan na lang gibutangan og bond diri. Okay, butangan niya og bond to make sure that this one is CH3. Okay, CH3. It's not H. Kaya kung H ang tani, mahiman siya H2. H2. Okay, 2. But it's not H2H, so we have H3. And then, okay, the fifth carbon, okay, the fourth carbon, di ay nga straight line. We have how many, how many the fourth carbon, how many hydrogen?
Three.
Three, ma'am.
Right? Now, or if we don't want to write the bond anymore, like just CH3, magatong gibutang dire, we can do this one. So, yan lagi copy CH3, CH2, and then the CH has CH3, and then again CH3. So more na siya gihagi parenthesis, and then sa gibutan niya ka ng subscript na 2 because 2 CH3. Okay. All right. Okay, so okay. So this one. Okay. All right. Here, class. All right. So we have the carbon atoms aren't usually shown. Okay. So if in the Kikoli structure, remember the Kikoli structure or the line bond structure, we are going to write this one. CH2 double bonds, C, then CH3 single bond, C. So, but we can also write it in a skeletal structure. Okay. So, here, ang C niya, murag isa skeletal structure, guys, you don't need to write the letter C or the carbon atom and the hydrogen atom anymore. Okay. So, first nga ihang nasa tumoy is C. Okay, C. All right. How many carbon atoms?
4.
We have
5.
5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pero katong straight lang, we have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so, maghihap na ka, mag-long chain na ka. Inani na, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Nakuha ninyo, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
What about the others? Okay. So,
Wala dyan, ma'am.
Alright, that's okay. Sige, wait ha. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1. Alright. So, guys, see. Okay, so class. So this is isopropene. Okay, so we have here okay. Alright, so ang pag-count lang bitaw nimo guys, diri is this one here na siya carbon diri, carbon. The first carbon, second carbon here, and then third carbon here. Kadi end niya, every ending kay there is carbon. Every end na carbon. Carbon, 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 carbon. Kani nag-end man ni diri na po check carbon. Okay. So, inani na siya, butangan ikada end niya is carbon. So, if we have how many endings? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, kung na 5 ka endings, then it has 5 carbons. So, here man, oh, carbon ni siya diri, carbon pa ni diri, carbon diri, carbon. So, how many carbons?
5. 5, ma'am.
5. Now, pero kung anuhan naman good na to pag inaani lang skeletal structure, we are not going to take note the atoms anymore or the carbon. Ganahan na lang nato is ano na lang siya, skeleton na lang. So if we are going to write the skeleton, we don't write the carbon. So we have C, K. All right. Okay. So we have this one. Type 1. Okay, wala na lang natin gibutang ang mga C. Okay. So this one, guys, is just the equal to this one. Right, di ba? Inigatanan na ito bulas ka ng complex kay diri. Niya pagka equal din na silang duha. Okay. Don't worry, on the next chapter, we will make more of this. Okay. And yes. So, tiwason na lang natin ha. And that's okay. And it's alright, taking it. So, wala na lang niya ipakita ang sa skeletal structure. Okay, don't worry, hapit na tamaman. 10, 11, 10. Okay, so what? Let's go to Methylcyclohexane. Okay, as you can see, tanawa daghan siya H. Okay, the Kikoli structure, it's very complex. Okay, because of a carbon atom and we have hydrogen atom. Now, if we are going to write it in a skeletal structure, natanawa, it's so clean, limpyo kayo siya. So this very simple ano ini siya, unsa gali ini siya nga kuan 1 2 3 4 5 6. So hexagon, simple hexagon, okay, is just equal to this very complex one. So ang gikuha lang ani niya guys is the carbon atom. Carbon, gikuha lang ninyo jud ang carbon. It is the same formation, gikuan lang og carbon atom. Now, if we have hexane, okay, and then we have CI. So, kani. Okay, wait. So, but nakita ra ninyo guys na ano ra siya? Representing. Alright. Okay. So, every ending gihapon diri, end niya diri guys, has carbons, has C carbon. Okay, has carbon atom. Okay. So, here, how many kaning edge ay how many ano man siya points ning hexagon?
6.
6.
Ma'am.
Okay. Since it has 6 endpoints, so it has 6 carbons. And then notice the line above. Okay, di ba may line dira? Ending of that line is also a carbon. So how many carbons in total?
7, ma'am.
Right?
7, ma'am.
Yes, very easy.
Eight.
Okay. Now, good. Okay. So, don't worry guys. We will be practicing more about this. And then, okay, this one. We have phenol. Okay, a phenol also has how many carbons?
6, ma'am.
6. Because ang hexagon, if you can see a hexagon, then ano na jud na, put it in your mind that, oh, 6 carbons. Okay, hexagon siya. 6 endpoints. So, 6 carbons. And then, what happened lang, it has OH because not the same to the second example above. Wala niya gibutangag C, di ba? Because ano na siya, noted na nato na siya na it has carbon atom. But here, because this is not a carbon atom, it's an OH, it's a hydroxide. So we write it, we write the atom OH. Okay. So that's it. All right. So methyl. Okay, this one is a methyl. Okay, this is an explanation. So instead of a carbon atom is assumed to be at each intersection of two lines or intersection or end. Okay, so ang carbon na dito. And at the end of each line. Okay, at the end of each line. So it has carbon. Uy, nakita mo? Ito ka share screen. I'll share screen dahil. Okay. Then, so ang hydrogen atoms to carbon aren't shown. So, mo siya, wala nang gibutang ng kwan. Kaya given na po siya nga hydrogen siya. Okay, and then we have atoms other than carbon and hydrogen. Okay, are shown. But if it's not hydrogen or carbon, then we have to write it like this. We write the OH. Okay. So, in summary of chapter 1, organic chemistry is a chemistry. So we will be dealing more about the carbon atoms. And also, atoms are charged nucleus containing positively charged protons and neutrally charged neutrons, surrounded by negatively charged electrons. Okay, so the subatomic particles. Electronic structure of an atom described by wave equation. Okay, so electrons occupy orbitals around the nucleus, then different orbitals have different energy levels and different shapes, just like s orbital and the p orbital. So s orbital has a lower energy level than the p orbital. Okay, s orbital is spherical, and we have p orbital is dumbbell. And then we have covalent bonds. Electrons are shared. And for valence bond theory, electron sharing occurs by overlapping. Okay. And for MO orbital, bonds result from combination of atomic orbitals to give molecular orbitals. Then sigma bond. Okay, we have sigma bond. It's circular cross section and are formed by head-on interaction. Okay, then we have pi bond. Okay, dumbbell shape from sideways interaction of p orbitals. Okay, and for sp3 we have single bond with tetrahedral geometry, and then we have sp2 when we have double bonds, and we have sp4 triple bonds. Okay, at bond angles and bond lengths differ when it is it differs depending on the type of hybrid orbital. Example, if we have sp3, so the bond angle is 109, and then if we have sp2, the bond angle is 120, and then if we have 180 degrees. And if the sp3, we have the bond length. Okay, the bond length is, I forgot, but you just have to review on that. Then atoms such as nitrogen and, okay. All right, so we don't need that one anymore. Okay, and draw an electron dot structure. Okay. All right, so let's work a problem, guys. Okay. So how many electron dot structure for acetonitrile? Okay, so that's it. All right. Now we have two or one lone pair or non-bonding pair. Okay, so now class, how many how many bonds in CN? CN.
Triple band.
6 band.
Triple, ma'am.
Triple. Okay,
Ma'am.
triple.
3, ma'am.
Triple bond because
One.
it's
Band.
okay, 6 electrons man makita ninyo, so it's triple bond.
Mas na yung 1.
Right?
3.
Yes, 3. Very good. Okay. All right. What about the CC bond?
1.
1.
One.
1.
Yes. Okay. How many lone pair?
1.
1.
One lone pair. Very
1.
good. Okay, pair ba siya? We can call it the lone pair if it is only one electron. So 2 electrons, 1 pair. Okay, so that's all for today, class. That ends our
Ma'am.
discussion. Okay, now, all right. So in the next chapter, we are going to talk about alkanes. Okay, alkanes, and then we are going to talk more about structure writing. Okay, just like this. We are going to talk more about this one. Okay, this one. 1, 2, right. So, but for now, that's all for today. Okay, so thank you so much. And then let's schedule for an exam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Exam.
Nas,
When will that be? What about Thursday? Next week. Ano ha? Thursday next week.
Pwede second week na lang, ma'am.
Sa second week. Saan?
Sa September.
Okay. Karon, ano man? Karon kay first week naman sa September karon. And then next week. September 12. September 10, 9. Okay, September 9.
May hangyo, ma'am. Pwede.
Thursday na, ma'am, no? Thursday.
Oo, Thursday. We are going to
next Thursday.
Next Thursday. The Thursday that is next to this week na. Next to this week. Karon nga Thursday dili sa the next Thursday na.
Ma'am, paon-saon pag-exam?
Okay, so the exam is we are going to use Kahoot lang Kahoot, and then ano lang siya, multiple choice.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll just send the link kapod. Link kapod na siya. Then your answer. Marara mo gadula-dula, guys. So letter A. Tapos loko din yung letter A. Kaya mo yung answer. And then, nabawa na ninyo kung check mo or wrong. And then at the end of the exam, you will know at the end, mahuman na ninyo yung answer. Kaya makabalo na mo, pila yung score.
Pwede ma'am na
Yes.
easy para plus points.
Ang isi,
Ang wala ngali guys. Basin ngali kung natay ano plus points kaning structure writing.
ayaw na ma'am.
Is ma'am pahangyo kami sa isay.
Mama, luya miya na.
Alright. Okay. No essay. Okay. So,
Ma'am, sa
Actually ma'am,
sa multiple
honestly ma'am,
choice na lang kami.
galibog pa jud ko ma'am ay. Please do enlighten me.
oh, alright. So you just study na lang. Okay. Watch more videos. Okay. And for you to be guided, cute. Then, kasi simple naman. Okay. Ano lang, ano mo, basa lang mo otro. Sige.
So, multiple choice na,
Okay
ma'am.
ma'am, okay ma'am,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Multiple choice. Thank you, ma'am. I love you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Salamat.
Alright, so
Salamat
that's
ma'am
all
sa
for
multiple
it.
choice, love last.
Thank you, ma'am.
God bless,
Hi,
ma'am.
so, have a,
Thank
have
you,
a great
ma'am.
one. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
ma'am.
Bye,
Bye-bye, ma'am. God
Thank you,
bless.
ma'am.
Papa kay ka, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Hoy, kamo! Nausaman mo nga nung isa-isa.
Nindot mo to kay opinion.
On opinion, pero
Kinsa may nakabalo, kinsa may nakasabot, please.
Wala ka kasabot.
why ning sulod akong utok?
Kopya na lang sunod.
Oy, ang answer.
Share the blessing.
Ma'am, please enlighten me, ma'am. Guys,
Teacher sa guys.
hi vlog, welcome to my guys. Love, love.
Buyers.
Patbuli niyo eh.
Ayaw jud mo pag-ise. Naana mo yung answer sa kuan ni Sir Edulan?
Wala ba?
Nga pa ikaw.
Napakopya daw ko.
Diyan na yan dyan. Pangatag po niyo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wala na may extra.
Ay, wala na. Ay,
Ano?
klase pa. Wala na, dahil klase.
Hindi nakasabot yung puti may pagkuhan. Tabtabid mo pala.
Humana.
Yapa.
Pag sure mo diya, oy. Ay, humana naman siguro. Kaya nang left naman ang uban, oh.
Naman na.
Humana dahil, okay.
Hindi.